All right, 2024 is almost upon us. Can you believe that? Where did the year go? I sound like my dad. That's how it goes. So I thought this would be fun. U.S. News and World Report came out with a workplace trends for 2024, and I want to cover some of these because I think this is really, really interesting. So I'm going to walk through these, and we'll discuss. So one is the return to office battle will continue. Now, I don't know how much of a battle this is in the real world, because if you look at the numbers, we are back to pre-pandemic levels of people who are working remote. In other words, the amount of people working remote has shrunk tremendously back to what remote work looked like pre-COVID. So that is interesting in and of itself. Now, that means when I give you those numbers, that is full remote. There are a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people working remotely, but it is of a hybrid nature. So they're working remotely some of the week, and some of the week they're in the office. That has been the battle that has been waged over the last 2 years. And very publicly, by the way, with some big technology companies in particular saying, all right, you got to come back to work. But even then, it is a hybrid model, which I've said before, I'll say it again, that is the model that is going to be the dominant model in the world of work. You're going to have a whole lot less companies that are full-time in the office. That's just the reality of where it's going. So having said that, there still will be tension, according to this article and some of the experts that are looking at the trends, because a lot of people don't even want to do the hybrid. And so there will be tension. We want to get you back in, but companies don't necessarily want to fire somebody over it. So employees do have some leverage. That tension is going to be there. Second trend, flexibility will continue to be a driving advantage for companies that are willing to be flexible with their employees in a variety of areas, but certainly schedules. Industries and roles that have no option for hybrid will still offer more flexibility because they want to pull in some people that have been on the sidelines going, I don't want to work full-time in the office, but I'll work part-time. So now all of a sudden it helps companies with their talent base. 3, the 5-day work week may die. This is a bold prediction. I'm not willing to say that this is going to happen this quickly. Because I think if you look at a statement like that, that's a pretty bold statement. I do think the 4-day work week is here on some level, and it's going to be a real issue. But if you look at today's current 5-day work week model, like there's a lot of flexibility baked in. And if you look at an 8-hour day and you go, are people working 5 8-hour days, or are they working that same amount of block of hours over a different period of time? And I think that's happening more and more and more. So I don't know that it's going to be this just big jarring. In 2024, nobody works 5 days a week. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think the 4-day work week is going to stick. 4, the diversity, equity, and inclusion conversation is going to shift largely because of the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action. A pretty big statement by the Supreme Court. And presumably, justices come in and come out. But will this get overturned anytime soon? I don't think so. So with the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action, now the conversation with a lot of companies is less about equity and inclusion, and it's more on inclusion. It's less equity and more inclusion. Why? Well, this is a statement in the article from one of the experts that they quote. And she says, when you force diversity, it is manufactured and it doesn't stick. Instead, companies should lead with inclusion, creating an environment where you attract all types of people. And I completely agree. So the DEI conversation is going to change a little bit. 5, wage pressures will continue to subside. We're already seeing this. So what do I mean by wage pressures? So when you raise salaries, hourly rates, all of that, then it puts pressures on companies to go, what are we going to do? This is an increased cost for us. Are we going to pass it on to our customer? That's one option, which most of them do. Or we take a hit in the profit department. Companies are in business for profit. This is how you get inflation. Very simple stuff. So what does this mean? That wage pressures will continue to subside? Again, I'm seeing this already in the news. You're going to see employers shift away from things like signing or retention bonuses, as well as significant compensation increases for new hires. So this is what was interesting coming out of the pandemic, and it caused a lot of tension in the workplace, which then kicked off the Great Resignation, where millions of people were leaving jobs. So here's what happened. Companies needed to hire talent, and so they would hire somebody new, pay them significantly more than the people who were doing the same job. And that kind of stuff has a high rate of revealing itself. And so we would get calls in the show. Hey, Kim, what do I do? I've been working at this company 10 years. And they just hired somebody way less experienced than me. And I found out they make more than me. Well, and my advice would be, that sucks. Wish you didn't know that because it's cancer. It's not about you. It's about them. Companies had to pay. It's the market pressure. So anyway, wage pressures will subside. So you're going to see less pay bumps. And as a result, you'll see less people leaving. That leads to then the sixth trend, and I think this is absolutely right. Workers are going to prioritize stability. What does that mean? That means they want to stay at companies that are stable. If they're going to leave to a company that's very stable, has a track record for winning, their balance sheet is strong. Workers are going to say, I don't want to just chase a salary anymore. I want stability. I think that's going to be a big trend. And then finally, this is a very interesting trend, if this comes true. Retirees will return to the workplace. Another quote from one of the experts in this. Retirees will return to achieve financial goals, social engagement, fulfillment of a personal passion, and more mental stimulation to enrich their lives. We expect peak 65. This is the phenomenon where Americans will turn age 65 more than any other time in recorded history to take place in 2024. Folks, that's a big deal. So in 2024, more people will turn 65 than any other time in history. A lot of these stepped out of the workforce when COVID hit because they could, but maybe they didn't have a final chapter plan. Maybe they didn't have as much money. It didn't go as far because of inflation. Maybe they're just bored out of their mind. So what's going to happen is you're going to have more 65-year-olds return to the marketplace. Now, what does that mean? I want to spend a little bit of time on this. I don't have time, but I don't have a lot of time, but I want to cover this. Here's what's going to happen. Do I believe that ageism exists? 100% it does. But if the right leaders in the right companies go, wait a second, I could take a 65-year-old who's healthy, who's got a lot of experience, a lot of skill, and a lot of character, and I can put them into the workforce, and I can have them mentor these younger generations, I'm getting double the benefit of a great hire. And here's why. Skill's there. Experience is there. Okay, boom, great. Skill and experience, every employee needs that. But the locker room component, they help in the locker room. They're good culture people. They set the tone. They put their arm around the youngsters, if you will, and encourage them and equip them. I'm telling you, if I'm a leader and I've got a management position that is open and I can't fill it, I'm going to go find me a 65-year-old and go, hey, I need you to come in and throw your experience and your wisdom, not just your skill. Put your shoulder to this. Here's what we know. Gen Z is saying, I want to be mentored at work. I want to be mentored. We've got a bunch of 65-year-olds who are bored and need to do something fun. Leaders, this is a massive opportunity. All right, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Remember, you matter. You have what it takes. Press on.